Reflections of Barbara Jordan, as remembered by Dr. Thomas F. Freeman and Miss Algenita Scott Davis.
My name is Thomas F. Freeman. I am Coach Emeritus of the Texas Southern University debate team, of which Barbara Jordan was an outstanding member. I did not meet her at Texas Southern University. I met her at an oratorical contest that was held at Wheatley High School when she was a senior. I served as judge for the event. Barbara did not win that event. She came second, although my ballot put her first. And following that encounter, when she came to Texas Southern, one of the first things she did was to look me up. She became a member of the debate team. There was a time when our students could not participate at white schools. But in '57, Barbara and Otis debated at Baylor University, and Barbara won first place in oratory, and Otis won first place in extemporaneous speaking. At the time, students could not even stay at the locale of the tournament. We had to stay outside of town. We traveled by station wagon in the south, could not stop at eating places, could not stop to sleep. One night we were traveling, the kids were very hungry. As soon as I hit the door, somebody on the inside said, "We don't serve blacks here. Go on in the back. You might get something to eat." I chose to forget my dignity and went in the back of the cafeteria and fed my students. Those kinds of encounters strengthened Barbara, so she was able to go up against the men in the state legislature and not suffer by comparison.
Barbara Charlene Jordan was known by many as a leader, educator, game changer, model servant, and a crusader for social justice.
My relationship and knowing Barbara Jordan goes back to high school. It was a privilege for my high school graduating class to have Miss Jordan as our speaker at our church banquet for the 1967 Wheatley graduates who were being honored by my church. Miss Jordan was a classmate of our youth choir director, so we first got a chance to hear her. We had heard of her a lot before then. She had run for office. We had seen her driving her little white car down Lyons Avenue and really campaigning. So we got a chance to know who she was. She had become senator, a state senator. So those of us at Phyllis Wheatley were very proud of her because she was a Wheatley alum.
That period of time was the only woman who traveled with the debate team. Under ordinary circumstances, only male students would have been involved. But her excellence as a speaker made that unnecessary. And so special permission was granted for her to be a part of the team. She remained on the team for 4 years, and she and Otis King are responsible for integrating forensics in the South.
Effective. She was effective in Congress. She was effective after Congress. She was effective before she went to Congress because of the organizations and all of the work that she did. So she had a really good feel for who she was. Her background was just, I mean, it was just a phenomenal story in knowing where you're headed and knowing how to use your voice. And it was just a wonderful voice that she had.
Her voice was heard above those of many others. Not that what she was saying was more important than what they were saying themselves, but she said in a manner to attract attention. If Barbara spoke, you had to stop and listen. And examining the words that she uttered, you will realize the depth of her thought. All of the issues that confront us today, not all of them, but many of the issues that confront us, they confronted her, and she was a spokesman for it. She traveled all over the country as a representative of social justice.
Her speech was entitled, "That Was Then, and This Is Now." She talked about how the Houston area and segregation and so many things had happened to really discourage progress in the African American community. And she talked about how that was then, the time that she was born and the time that the issues had come up and the issues of segregation. And she talked about now during this time of desegregation, not integration, desegregation, that there were measures that needed to be taken and a focus on economic development that should happen in the community that she loved. And she said that was then. When we're talking about desegregation, that's fine. So all of that has moved forward, that's fine. But now that there is desegregation, we need to desegregate the economic opportunities. And she said, and this is now.
Barbara were here today. In light of her experience, she would challenge America not to allow rising voices to destroy the fundamental structure of our nation. She would speak in behalf of women's rights. She would speak in behalf of men's rights. She would speak in behalf of immigrants' rights. She would speak in behalf of the right of every American to rise in America. Not to go off from America, but right here in our own country. She would be a spokesman for justice and would perhaps challenge those whose words seem to suggest a contrary point of view that is fundamental in America.
One of the things that was so impressive about Barbara Jordan was that she knew it was her responsibility to represent her constituencies well. She may have represented TSU well, but she certainly represented Phyllis Wheatley well. And she represented Fifth Ward well. And she represented the religious leaders well. I remember a discussion in the boardrooms of Texas Commerce when somebody said, well, you know, are the ministers going to really be involved in making sure that their constituencies are going to have mortgage opportunities? She said, it is their mindset that will set the stage. She, I mean, just did not mince words. So one, assumption of responsibility, knowing that you have a responsibility and declaring yourself to be responsible. That's one of the things, and I would encourage all of our students to do just that, to know who you are, to know that you do represent someone. And as I tell my students, if you're doing something You represent Texas Southern University. They're not going to say a student was walking down the street. They're going to say a Texas Southern University student was walking down the street. They didn't really talk a whole lot about the fact that Barbara Jordan went to Boston U. I know they may have been proud of her. But what people talked about was that she was a graduate of this institution. And that puts a target on your back. That puts a label on you. And so what students must realize is once they enter this campus, that it's on. And you have to take that same kind of responsibility that she took. That is to carry that label and to carry that responsibility well, no matter where you go, whether it's Congress, whether it's in traveling across the seas, whether it's in your neighborhood, but that responsibility that you have to make sure that people know that you're going to move your African American race and other disadvantaged persons forward. You're going to be there to do that. You're going to fight for it. And like she said, it's a different day. And it's your responsibility to handle your day.
There are many correlations to her leadership that apply even today. She was a true visionary, but that is another episode. We honor the great Barbara Jordan.